Privacy Focus is supported by Clean Eats. Clean Eats, healthy fast food. You're tuned into Joy News, and this is Privacy Focus coming to you right here. This is the program that has your data privacy at heart. And this is the platform that we actually get to chit-chat with experts about our rights and responsibilities under the Data Protection Act 2012, Act 843. So today, on this episode, we are going to be discussing compliance to the Act. What is the starting point of compliance? We'll go on a quick break and then we are back here and we set the ball rolling. Welcome back. And so on the show with me today is Dr. Patrick Lebene Adunu. He is the head of compliance at the Data Protection Commission of Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, my good friend. You're looking good.
Thank you. You're looking good too.
Thank you.
When we say compliance, what are we talking about?
All right. Thank you very much. I think that I will take the opportunity to say a very good evening to all your viewers, and do appreciate them for being part of this new, what we call the fourth industrial revolution. I think that knowledge and education is a premise for any form of revolution. So it's very important that people are listening and they are being informed and educated. To every law, there must be systems that makes sure that the law is adhered to. And because a law that doesn't have the structures and system to make sure that it's adhered to, it's not law. And what causes the law to be adhered to is what we call compliance. The systems or the tools that make sure that the law that gives you the right to the freedom of speech is adhered to, that all the systems that work around this being done is what is called compliance. By that I mean to say that, people understanding what the law is, they demanding the law, and then agencies and institutions being built to make sure that the law is working. All that framework, all that setup is what is called compliance. A good example is that in the Data Protection Commission, the right for a person's personal data being protected must be enforced. And the Data Protection Commission is the legal body that the government of Ghana has set, to make sure that people's personal data are protected. Mm-hmm. And so in the Data Protection Commission, there is the Directorate of Regulatory and Compliance. And we make sure that your personal data is not abused. Okay. We make sure that if it's abused and you report, we follow up on it. 3, we make sure that data controllers, they do what is needful as stated by the law. All this framework put together is what is known as compliance.
So specifically, who needs to comply to the Act?
All right, thank you. So specifically, every data, good news is that I brought the law.
Hallelujah.
So I brought the act that stipulates and tells us everything. So for people who will be watching, we'll be reading directly from the law, and then you pretty much understand that it's not just coming from a person's mind and idea, but it's actually what the law says. Now, the Data Protection Act 843 2012, Section 91 says that the Act binds the Republic. Now, what this means is that every single person and entity in this country is bounded by this Act. All institutions, every single institution that participates in the life cycle of personal data. That means data subject, of which you are part, and data controllers, that is institutions and people who pick our data and utilize it. They are all binded by the Act. So it means that all of us are supposed to comply some way or the other. Now, the subsection 97 of the same act says that a data controller incorporated or established after the commencement of this act shall be required to register with the commission. So who should comply? I'm saying that data subjects have something to do that will make them comply. That is that they will insist on their rights. Data controllers also have things to do to be compliant. And I think that's why we're here. So what should they do and all that? So to answer the question, who is supposed to comply? All the major stakeholders in this ecosystem, data subjects, data processors, data controllers are all supposed to comply. They have different things they must do that will mean they should comply.
And so whilst you were reading the act, you did mention registration. Is that to say that the starting point of compliance is registration?
You couldn't have been any further than the truth.
Great.
So, and that is important. You know, I think that as much as that is true, it is many a times construed, and people turn to throw it out of balance. Registration is necessary as the starting point, not the finishing end of compliance. Some people, when they come to the commission and they register, they think, well, I registered, so I'm done.
That's it.
No, but that's not the case. If you want to travel outside and you got a passport, it doesn't mean you can travel to any country yet. Even when you get a visa to a particular country, it doesn't mean you are there. There are still processes you must go through. Actually, when you've even bought your flight ticket, it doesn't mean you are there yet. You have to go through the airport. Today, because of COVID-19, you have to go through COVID-19 protocols and all that. So registration is a good part of compliance. It's there, but let me emphatically state that it is only the entry point and the beginning of compliance.
Right. So let's talk about registration. When we say registration in Ghana, registration is a tedious word by virtue of the fact that it is registration. How tedious is the process?
I can, you know, let me be very fair in saying that data protection in itself is a pretty much a fairly new phenomenon, you know, in the sub-Saharan African part of the world. So it's, and you know, people, especially our part of the world, we are quite slow. Let me be careful, but change doesn't come so quick with us. Yes. And so if people say that, and again, data protection is a little bit of a technical ecosystem area. And so just by virtue of that, I am aware. And so I think it's important, I just don't say it's easy. I'm aware that people have explained that they have had challenges, and that's fair. That's understandable. For all new phenomenons, people will take time to fully be onboarded. But if you really understand, quite sincerely, it's our registration system is so simple. It's so simple that everybody who really wants to do this should get it done. I mean, you would have to do it in the comfort of your home. You don't really have to come to the office, but if you want to come here, there are a lot of people who are willing and ready to support. But just at the click of a button, and in a space of about 5 to 10 minutes, you'll be done with your registration.
Great. So, I mean, now we know that registration is just the entry point, and it doesn't mean that compliance has been achieved. Now, how emphatic is the law on compliance, or on people that are supposed to be compliant? Is it lenient, or... I am asking because I have come across a lot of organizations that have not registered with the commission and are taking their time. There is no urgency. They're taking their time when they feel like it. No, not yet. Have you registered? No, not yet. We don't want to go there yet. How lenient is the law on this?
When I have the opportunity to be on shows like this, I make it quite funny. And to answer the question, I'd rather ask you and your firm, if you have registered. I mean, the truth is that many institutions have not done the needful. And then again, I think that it has become the norm of the day, you know, with how institutions approach new laws and new structures and new phenomena that come. Compliance in itself in the Data Protection Commission isn't lenient. I mean, the law isn't lenient by any means. Only that, under the leadership of the Executive Director, Madam Patricia Meduse Epoku, we are rolling out different levels of the enforcement of compliance. There are two things we are talking about. We have compliance and we have compliance enforcement. Okay. Let me try to explain. Compliance means you knowing what to do and doing it. So you are firm. The law, I've read it quite clearly to you. The law says that the law binds the republic, any institution. Maybe let me also help in letting us know who a data controller is, because every data controller is responsible to register with the commission. It is part of your legal responsibilities and mandates. You and ignorance of the law is no excuse to say I did not know that I'm supposed to register, like we always keep hearing. It is no excuse. If you collect people's personal data and that is part of your business, even if you do hair or you sell tomatoes, truth of the matter is that we've moved into the fourth industrial revolution, and I spent time to explain that a little bit. And in this fourth industrial revolution, what drives economic, social, political, and all forms of growth is data.
Right. Churches
grow with data. Businesses grow with data. The government grows with data. Decisions that must be made by data. And what is data? The information we are picking from you. I mean, personal data for that matter. So who is a data controller? Before I talk about the two forms, compliance and enforcement. Yeah. The Data Protection Act, the Ghana's Data Protection Act 843, in the section 96, says it defines the data controller as a person who either alone or jointly with other persons or in common with other persons or a statutory duty determines the purpose for and the manner in which personal data is processed or to be processed. What it means is that if you come across any form of personal data and you have the mandate or you stand in the position of determining the purpose of the processing of that personal data, you have become a data controller. What does it mean? It means that, interestingly, one of the easiest form of processing, data processing, is viewing. Just viewing. It's processing enough. So if you have any form of personal data at all and you can view it, you could be a data controller. And the law says you should register with the commission. And you knowing this, okay, and doing it is compliance. Now, you not doing it propels the side of the commission that pushes enforcement. And enforcement is we chasing you to do what you must do. And for the past 5 years or so, when the commission was established in this country, we've rolled out different forms of getting institutions or data controllers to comply. And from last year, we've gotten to the enforcement and the punitive sections of compliance. And that's what we are doing now. And so it's not lenient at all. If it's not caught up with you yet, you might think it's lenient. But sooner than later, you feel the heat on your back. Yeah.
We'll continue by knowing how new the law is, because Act 2012, I'm thinking it was born in 2012. How new is it, and what are some of the things that we have done as a commission to publicize the act, make people know that there is an act like that? But we'll do that after a quick break.